Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Rausen Pereira. US President Donald Trump suspended the entry into the United States of certain foreign workers on Monday, a move the White House said would help the coronavirus battered economy, but which business groups strongly oppose. Trump issued a presidential proclamation that temporarily blocks foreign workers entering on H-1B visas for skilled employees and L visas for managers and specialized workers being transferred within a company. He also blocked those entering on H-2B seasonal worker visas used by landscapers and other industries. Businesses, including major tech companies and the US Chamber of Commerce, said that the visa suspension would stifle the economic recovery after the damage done by the pandemic. The proclamation's immediate effects are likely to be limited as US consulates around the world remain closed for most routine visa processing. The order exempts those already in the United States as well as valid visa holders abroad, but they must have an official travel document that permits entry into the United States. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze the US's move of temporarily suspending H-1B and other visas. Joining me on the program today are Prabhu Dayal, former ambassador, Shivaji Sarkar, senior journalist, and Shivendra Singh, Vice President, Global Trade Development, NASSCOM. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Ambassador, I'd like to begin the program with you. Let's first hear your thoughts really on the temporary suspension of H-1B and other visas by the US President Donald Trump.
Well, Frank, I have 4 quick points to make. Firstly, that this is Trump's way of saying that he is fulfilling his election promises. You remember that during his election campaign, he had said that he would stop US jobs from going to foreign workers. He had also said America first in every manner. He is going to say to his voter base, see, I'm fulfilling my election promises. Significantly, it's a temporary ban. It ends at the end of the year, but then the election is on November 3rd. So till the elections, this ban will be very much in force. Secondly, Indian companies and Indian tech workers are going to be adversely affected. Significantly, an article in the Washington Post today is headlined, India to be hit hard. Thirdly, of course, on this matter, I'm sure that Mr. Shivendra Singh will be able to spell out in detail, but there is this point to be noted that Indian tech companies were able to take tech workers on H-1B visas and were able to service their contracts on account of this factor. But this brings me to the third fact. Not only would Indian companies stand to lose, but US companies too. The US Chamber of Commerce has come out severely critical of Trump's move. At the same time, individual tech leaders like Sundar Pichai, Brad Smith, Herrera Flanagan, and so many others have come out critically of this move. So there is widespread disappointment. And my last point is that perhaps the tech industry will find a way out of it, because the COVID-19 or the Chinese virus has shown to all of us that it is possible to work from home. You don't have to be in the place of work. So the tech industry will find more ways of outsourcing. And instead of protecting US jobs, what might happen is that Trump's move might backfire and US jobs may actually go out of the country. People may work from wherever they are. So these are the 4 quick points which I wanted to make. And of course, I look forward to hearing what the other participants are saying.
Okay. All right. So 4 quick points that the ambassador has made. I'm going to take up at least 2 of them a little later on in the program. But one of those points that I want to take up right now is that of the impact that this is likely to have on the Indian IT sector and the Indian IT companies. Shivendra Singh.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, Frank. And, it's always great to have such an accomplished speaker as Ambassador Dayal, putting forth his views. I think, few things need to be kept in perspective while you're looking at this temporary order. First and foremost, as has been mentioned by a lot of people, including, Senator Lindsey Graham, who is the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee and US Chamber CEO, and you talked about some of the other US CEOs. This is going to have a negative impact on the US economic recovery. In fact, Frank, you mentioned about, this measure being taken because of the slowdown brought in by COVID-19 pandemic. And if I look at this, this whole issue, and if the objective behind such an exercise was a higher degree of unemployment and slowdown of the economic, conditions due to COVID-19, the reality as far as the tech sector is very, very different. And here is why it is. First and foremost, it's not correct to cite overall employment to block employees, in a sector which has a low degree of unemployment. So if I look at the unemployment figures, which has been U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics data, it talks about while the overall unemployment has grown from 4% in January 2020 to about 13.5% in May 2020. In terms of the computer occupation, it's come down from 3% in January to 2.5% in May. Currently, there are about 625,000 job vacancies which are still there, and I'm talking about as of 13th May, the last data. And this is all US data. So hence, as we know, about 70% of the H-1B visas go to computer occupation, which is more than a majority. In this sector specifically, the skills gap, the skills scarcity is still very, very clear. Objective of doing it because of higher unemployment is probably not the right one to look at. And hence there is a limited economic justification for doing so. The second and more important part is, the history of H-1B is that it's been brought in because it bridges a very critical skills gap, for the industry and for the US economy and helps them grow. Now, in terms of the models which typically function, you'll have a few people on non-immigrant visas and a few people who are locally employed, and they work together as a team. Now, if you alter the team by not getting in people, then the entire team gets altered, and even local job creation will be harmed in some way or form. So that's another point to keep in mind. And lastly, I think it should be also kept in mind that H-1B workers are essential workers because they are looking at maintaining critical infrastructure in the current pandemic, whether it's healthcare, whether it's online education, whether it's the vaccine production or in the attempts to do that, whether it's cybersecurity management. So we had asked for exemptions for tech workers as essential workers, which was a part of a definition which US Department of Homeland Security had given in terms of what we call a CISA guidance. And we said, you want to define it based on what you think is correct, and only give, exemptions to those tech workers. Obviously, the exemptions that we are seeing are very restrictive in the current mode. So it is going to be a challenge. And one more point that I want to highlight is, this is not an immigration issue. It's a trade issue because high-skilled worker mobility, as we call it, does not impact the net migration numbers to a particular country, in this case, the US. And hence, these are people who go in, do the job and come back, and they are, in high demand globally. And if they are, then, that's how, we should be looking at it. So these are a few points I think I just wanted to highlight.
Shivaji Sarkar, as far as this particular move is concerned, who's likely to be impacted the most?
You see, if you ask for the impact, if you think that only Indians are going to be impacted, it's not so. The Americans are also going to be impacted almost at the same level, because almost if you see from Microsoft to any other, everybody, whether Satya Nadella or Pichai, everybody has said that it is not in their interest as well. So to think that it is only going to affect Indians, I think it is not correct. But there is one thing we must go into the American mindset. It is just not that it is something a post-COVID situation. 2017 onwards, what Trump has been doing actually is to target the Indians, because he has been always saying that Indians are stealing their jobs. And now also that is what he's trying to do, that he's trying to create jobs for his own people at the cost of outsiders. And this is one thing I think that is affecting the Indians more. And it is just not, if you see in an overall situation, it is even he's targeting Indian steel, Indian aluminium, and many other sectors. So IT is only one aspect of the entire Trump's program. So presently I feel the way the IT sector is being affected, because you see of the 85,000 every year they gave, almost 65,000 applications are from Indians only. So 60, so these kind of situations naturally is going to hit the Indian companies, and they, even in the last few years also, they have scaled down the sending of the H-1B visa oriented people there. And they have been employing much more local people there. So these are some of the dynamics already the IT companies are facing. So what exactly now is happening for the next few months? He is not going to give the visas more. So that would also affect the Indians a bit more. But it is also going to affect the Americans more, because he says H-1B visas would be given only to the higher paid workers. And that means if the workers are higher paid, it is going to affect the American companies as well. So now the issue is the other way around. He perhaps thought if it is higher paid, the Indian companies would not be able to pay that much. So it is going to benefit the locals. So that is also not true, because in certain case, certain expertise possibly may not find the domestic people attuned to that kind of a level. So this is I feel, kind of a double-edged sword. But of course, if you look at the Indian economy as such, Indian people as such, Indian companies as such, the hit they are taking is going to be a bit tougher. And that is where possibly they have to take care of.
Okay, all right. So that having been said, Ambassador, so is this in any way going to affect or impact the bilateral relationship between India and the United States?
Well, I'm sure that this matter will figure during the discussions which we have with the Americans, because if the interests of Indian nationals are impacted adversely, or the interests of Indian companies, then surely it is a matter of concern for the government of India. And we have been engaged with the United States authorities on such matters, and I'm sure that we will continue to be engaged in like manner. But the plea which the American side is taking, that on account of the COVID-19 pandemic, unemployment in America has reached over 13%. This is not borne out by facts, but at the same time, they are pleading that by restricting H-1B visas and H-2B visas, they will create more than 525,000 jobs for US nationals. This is, of course, not borne out by any reasoning or logic whatsoever, and has been, in fact, criticized in the American media and tech circles. The US Chamber of Commerce, which is generally pro-Trump, has said that this may lead to the entire job opportunities and investments flowing away from the United States to Canada. In fact, the US Chamber of Commerce said this is a gift to Canada, because they are not in agreement with the logic which the US administration is putting forth, and they are of the view that jobs are created when the tech industry flourishes, and the fact that H-1B visa holders enrich the tech industry is beyond doubt. That is why Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google and Alphabet, has said he is disappointed. And Elon Musk has said this is a very negative step. Elon Musk has been generally supportive of Trump. Now, one quick point in this regard. The tech industry in America has been drawing away the best brains. And if President Trump is being restrictive in this regard, and if Indian talent is going to find it difficult to move to America, of course they will look at other destinations, but a lot of them will stay back in India, which may help us, because we have been facing the brain drain. And I'm sure that our tech industry can thrive on account of more and more talent staying home. Of course, we have to make opportunities available to them. We have to avenues. India, unfortunately, has not found the best ways to nourish talent. And we have been a country where very often it is said that what matters is not what you know, but whom you know. So all this must stop. We must create the right playing field for talent. And such measures which the Americans are putting in place may actually turn out to benefit us. I think this matter has to be looked at in a very holistic fashion.
Absolutely. I think this is a very valid point that the ambassador is making. I want to take that point forward with you, Shivendra Singh. This aspect of how local talent is going to remain in India and a conducive atmosphere needs to be created so that we can use that local talent here and to ensure that it helps us as a whole. And the IT industry, the sector, call it what you want to, in the past has been criticized for not doing enough for research, not doing enough of R&D in India. Is this something that can be looked at now?
No, thank you. I'll respond to this, but just a few comments on what earlier speakers said. I think, in terms of local job creation, which the US is talking about, or if that is the rationale, the skill set which the H-1B workers have a skill which is probably in a very scarce availability in the US, and that's why it's not an apples to apples that they don't come in and you'll find someone exactly to replace that skill set. So that is one. I think the misperception has been, I think it's important to understand that it's considered that H-1B workers are cheap labor. So last year, IHS Markit which is a world-renowned market research agency, they did a piece of research which looked at the computer system occupation profession and looked at wage levels. And if you look at the wage levels, it was about 94,800 for the people including the visas, and 94,300 for local workers. So it's not in any way cheaper to bring in workers from 10,000 miles away, get them settled, and pay exorbitant fees, and as well as get into all the clearances for maybe a few $1,000s here and there. I don't think so. That is definitely a reason, and that's something which needs to be understood. I think, coming back to your question, I think it's very important to understand that these resources, who are scarce resources, in case, and first and foremost, I think it's till December. So the background is that the current temporary restriction is till December. The real sense travel would have started from October 1st, when the new H-1B season would have kick-started. I do not see too much of travel happening because of the restrictions between now and October or September. So if we are looking at a 3-month period, our view is that please do not make it more than 90 days in any case, totally. So that is the background. Now, when we talk about this resource, which is highly skilled, if they are not going to be there, cases, and that's why about the fact that it's not a migration or an immigration issue, it's a worker mobility issue for highly skilled people. Now, they can come back to India, they can go to different parts of the world and continue to add value to the ecosystem that flourishes. In India, for example, there was a discussion the other day on how a lot of value or innovation can be brought in by these people in startups, because that's a very, very important segment of growth in India, along with many other sectors that we focus on, including engineering, research and development, the BPM sector, IT services, and some of the other sectors. So that is very important. On a parallel note, I just wanted to bring to your notice that 3 days back, we did the first online trade mission to Canada with Collision this year from home. We had about 63 member companies who participated in that. That's a record of sorts. So,
right.
as was spoken earlier, Canada, is that going to be something which would benefit? We don't know, but we know definitely that even in these difficult times of COVID-19, there is a business interest, and we are seeing an increased interest from Canada. So that's why 63 delegates participated, and that's a record of sorts for us. So it's a very, very evolving scenario, people find and companies will find ways to navigate the system. We talked about maybe that this could lead to a higher offshoring, but I would only hope that it is a short 90-day and no more than that, and we are able to get exemptions for tech workers as essential workers, because that's going to be very, very critical.
Absolutely. All right. So let's bring in another aspect as well. Shivaji Sarkar, could this also lead to more services being outsourced to India due to the shortage of skilled workers in the United States, like has been pointed out earlier in the program as well.
You see, it has already been happening. Outsourcing from the US has already increased, and that is, if you look at NASSCOM document, if you look at other IT companies' profile, you find that they are getting more outsourced jobs from the US itself, apart from other places. So that is definitely going to increase. Now the issue is how the outsourcing, how much does it help? Is it an equal to the H-1B visa level? Possibly not, because outsourcing is also, they do it because it happens to be much more cheaper than actual hiring an H-1B visa highly skilled professional. So that is one level. The second thing is where we lose. We lose basically in placing our highly skilled people in a very competitive situation, and where the learning graph is also very high. So that means one H-1B visa person who goes there, his learning skill is also increases further. So that is another advantage to the IT companies itself and the country as a whole. So what is the basically it is happening in all over the world, and I agree with Mr. Shiven Singh that since there is a travel restriction, and Trump US yesterday itself has again imposed restrictions on Indian flights to the US. So I think for the next few months, and maybe till December itself, this will continue. This kind of restrictions in travel will continue. So somehow the Indian IT companies will have to depend more on this immediate context and on outsourcing. But at the same time, as it is going to open up, say after 3 or 4 months, as the new season for H-1B visa comes, then they will have to see that their people also get placed there. But that is where I think presently that basic part is closed. So these are one of the issues. The second thing is, I think India also has to learn from another aspect, the way especially during this Trump regime it is happening, and maybe there is a kind of a Swadeshi in the US itself. So it may not be even after Trump so easy to get H-1B visa. So India has to prepare, Indian IT companies has to prepare for the future also. Because you see, it is an issue of survival of the companies. It is a question of having jobs for the people in that particular sector, along with many other issues. So this IT sector is definitely, I think it is going through a kind of a roller coaster period, and they have to look for new avenues as well. And I think they're looking for it, and they're getting also it. But still, US remains one of the most important market.
Okay, all right. All right, so we've discussed the economics of it. It's time to get quick closing comments from all my guests now with the best way forward. Ambassador, let's talk about the politics of it and how much of an impact this is likely to have in, on Trump's constituency in the United States and on the elections itself later this year.
Well, I said at the very outset that Trump has put in place this sort of a ban with his re-election in mind. This is definitely a method he's trying to adopt to reach out to his voter base, to whom he had promised during his election campaign that he will try and make sure that American jobs do not go to foreigners. So this is just one way he's trying to show that he is fulfilling his promise. So till his election gets over, I don't think there is any likelihood of any sort of revision being announced. He has said that this is a temporary sort of a plan or temporary ban, but he's not likely to say what he's going to do after 31st December if he gets re-elected. Now, will it impact India's relations with the United States? Of course it will to some extent. It will cast a negative flavor, but our attempt should be to minimize the damage, because we have many things which may need our friendship with the Americans. Of course, the clash with China at the border being certainly one of them, and the ongoing disputes with Pakistan being another. Now, I said at the very beginning that the US tech companies are not at all happy with Trump's ban. In fact, 7 of the largest users of H-1B visas are US companies. So they are not at all happy that he is putting in place such a ban on H-1B visas. And there is pressure mounting from US tech and commercial bodies for him to rescind it. But my own view is till his election gets over, he is not going to be doing anything like that. Yes.
Absolutely. Shivendra Singh, so as a result of the pandemic, are companies now better equipped to handle most of their work remotely, thereby offsetting the impact of the temporary visa ban?
Well, first and foremost, I must, I'm very, very proud about the way the IT industry has, responded to this pandemic. The IT industry has been an exemplar in all ways and forms. We've gotten about 95% of our workforce of nearly 4.3 million people to work from home in a few weeks' time. And we work very closely with our government and others to do that. So that is point number one, because it was very important that we first take care of the safety and security of our employees, which is of paramount importance. In terms of any disruptions, we haven't really seen any disruptions happening. In fact, things are working quite smoothly. I'm personally working from home as well over the last few months. So I think that's been, a great thing. The fact that I mentioned that our companies have been working, on the recovery in its own way, clearly highlights that the role has further enhanced and become far more critical in these current times. I think it's important to understand that the tech industry is a very important constituent of the economy as far as India is concerned as well. So out of the $191 billion industry that we have, nearly about 141 billion is exports, and US is 62%, by far the largest. We also contribute nearly 8% to the GDP, and and nullify 50% of the merchandise trade deficit in terms of the contribution of the industry. So it's an important one for the government as well, to ensure that no bottlenecks come in to the performance. Apart from the fact that we have about 4.3 million people employed, we work in 80 countries in all. Ambassador Dayal talked about the fact that US companies, when we look at Indian companies, their numbers of H-1B visas have declined by a huge margin, from about 15,000 4 years back to about nearly 5,600, under 6,000, for the top 7 companies, which take up more than 90% of the visas, which is just about 6% of the 85,000 that we are talking about. So yes, Indian nationals do constitute 75% and are key to this whole area, and that's typically an endorsement of their skill set, and that's why they are in demand. So we need to ensure that that continues to happen as we move forward. So I think we need to hope that that we all work together to ensure that this does not go beyond 90 days. As I repeat, and also that there is an exemption for tech workers.
Points taken.
These are two
All
key
right.
points.
Okay. Final closing comment with the best way forward with you, Shivaji Sarkar. Quick closing comment.
Yes, you see, the way it is happening, of course, it is going to hit, as we can take it from both the eminent speakers' comments. India is going to take some kind of a hit in the next 2-3 months, definitely, despite the fact that almost 67% of the H-1 visa applicants are from India. Despite that, there will be a problem. The second thing is, what about the US politics? You see, till elections, we cannot expect any kind of, perhaps, relaxation in this kind of a situation. It is Trump's basically strong point that he's trying to create for his basic voters, that he's trying to create jobs for them, and maybe even the companies are not trying to sail with him. So this is how he's trying to sell the issue to his voters so that he gets more and more votes and gets re-elected. Of course, his opponent is also taking advantage of the same situation, and he wants that American companies should be in a better situation. So it is going to be an intense American election issue whether Indians should get the jobs or not. The issue is, thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you to all my guests for joining me on the program and sharing your views and putting things into perspective for us. What's coming out of this discussion is that Indian IT sector is indeed going to be impacted as a result of the move by President Trump to temporarily halt H-1B and other visas. But the damage is not going to be that extensive, is what the panelists are suggesting. And this is something that we are going to see being played out more and more in the United States to the lead up to the elections. With that, it's a wrap. See you again next time.